All right, let's dive right in. We're looking into a really radical health claim today. One that creates a nutritional mystery that starts not with some newfangled discovery, but with a pretty startling accusation that an entire food group, one we've all been told is the absolute foundation of health, might actually be the enemy.
And get this isn't some idea from the fringes. That quote comes from Dr. Anthony Chaffy, a medical doctor and a professional athlete, and it just perfectly frames the puzzle we're exploring. Could plants, the very symbol of all things healthy, actually be trying to harm us?
So who exactly is making a claim this big? Well, two of the main voices you'll hear are Dr. Anthony Chaffy, he's an MD and a former pro rugby player, and Dr. Shawn Baker, an orthopedic surgeon and a world record-holding rower. The fact that they have backgrounds in both elite athletics and medicine is exactly what makes their claims so disruptive. But okay, where on earth does an idea like this even come from?
And that really sets up our central question. If vegetables are supposed to be the cornerstone of a healthy diet, how could they possibly be harmful? The answer, according to these sources, isn't found in a modern lab. Nope. It's found in a silent war that started millions and millions of years ago.
To even begin to understand why something we see as so healthy could be a problem, we've got to think less like nutritionists and more like, well, like detectives. And the sources tell us the very first clue is hidden in the silent chemical war that's being fought in every single forest and field on the planet.
Dr. Chaffy calls it an evolutionary arms race. I mean, it makes sense, right? Plants can't run away, they can't fight back, so they evolved chemical defenses, basically poisons, to stop animals from eating them. And in response, animals evolved very specific ways to detoxify the poisons in very specific plants, which led to these highly specialized diets. Just think about it for a second. A koala only eats one specific type of eucalyptus. A panda eats only bamboo. If you tried to swap their diets, they would get sick, or worse. The theory is that each animal evolves to handle the specific toxins in its food source, and only that food source.
So, if plants are caught up in this huge chemical war, what are their weapons? Well, proponents of this theory argue the evidence is literally hiding in plain sight. It's a defense mechanism that we experience all the time but have been taught to just ignore.
It all starts with a really simple, intuitive clue. Dr. Chaffy points out that the bitter taste in a lot of plants isn't a flaw, it's a feature. It's this universal warning sign from our brain developed over millennia that's basically screaming, "Hey, this is poison, spit it out." He brings up a pretty potent example from his own medical training. While he was studying cancer biology, his professor let slip a really shocking fact about a vegetable that many of us, let's be honest, were forced to eat as kids.
The claim, which just blew Chaffy's mind at the time, was that Brussels sprouts alone, just Brussels sprouts, contain over 136 different compounds that have been identified as human carcinogens. For him, this was the exact moment the whole mystery started to unravel.
And this goes way beyond just one vegetable. The source material points to research from the 1980s from a UC Berkeley professor named Bruce Ames, who made a staggering finding. Every single plant in the grocery store contained dozens of these natural pesticides, with no fewer than 60 known human carcinogens in each one.
These defense chemicals, as they're called, have names you might have even heard of. You've got lectins, which can damage the lining of your gut. There are oxalates, which form these sharp little crystals linked to kidney stones and joint pain. Phytates, which can actually block your body from absorbing crucial minerals like iron and zinc. And then you've got the more direct poisons, like cyanide, which is found in thousands of common plants.
Okay, obviously this whole theory just completely upends modern nutrition. It forces us to question some of the things we believe most deeply about food. So let's interrogate the evidence a bit and see how the sources tackle the most obvious objections.
First up is a big one: the hormones in red meat. If we're trying to avoid things that mess with our hormones, isn't meat the very first thing we should be cutting out?
The response to this is just a direct comparison of the numbers. Look at the data that the sources present here. A 3-ounce serving of hormone-treated beef has about 3.9 nanograms of estrogen. Now look at the same amount of soy. It is not even close. You're looking at over 1 million nanograms of phytoestrogens. These are plant compounds that can actually mimic estrogen in the body.
Okay, the next pillar of conventional wisdom to tackle: fiber. For decades, we have been told it's absolutely essential for a healthy digestive system. So how could a diet with zero fiber possibly work? Dr. Baker's response is to just flip the question completely. He asks, why would we be designed to have a digestive system that needs indigestible material just to function properly?
He argues that for him and for thousands of others, getting rid of fiber actually led to better digestion and the almost complete disappearance of side effects like gas. And then we come to the big one, the historical bogeyman of any diet that doesn't have plants: scurvy, the infamous, horrible disease caused by a lack of vitamin C.
The answer here, according to the sources, is really twofold. First, they claim fresh meat does have enough vitamin C to prevent scurvy. But second, and this is the really fascinating part, is that glucose, so sugar from carbs, and vitamin C use the exact same pathway to get into our cells. Without all those carbs flooding the system, your body becomes incredibly efficient at absorbing whatever vitamin C it gets. You just don't need as much.
So, after dismantling all these common objections, what are we left with? All these individual clues, from the evolutionary arms race to the weird chemistry of vitamin C, they all start building toward a single, unifying, grand theory of modern disease. Dr. Chaffy calls it the toxin theory of modern disease, and the core argument is this: that many of the chronic illnesses we face today, things like autoimmune conditions, joint pain, brain fog, they aren't diseases in the traditional sense at all. Instead, they're the results of accumulative, low-grade poisoning from all those defense chemicals in the plants we eat day in and day out.
And this theory isn't just on paper. It is grounded in some pretty dramatic personal results. After he eliminated plants, Dr. Chaffy reports his athletic performance just skyrocketed. Dr. Baker, after he adopted the diet in his 50s, broke 3 world rowing records. And they both insist their stories are not unique, pointing to thousands of similar anecdotal reports online from people finding relief from all sorts of chronic issues.
And so we're left with this radical reframing of our entire understanding of what a healthy diet is. The theory being presented here suggests the biggest risk we face isn't the deficiency of what's missing from our plate, but a toxicity from what might be hiding there in plain sight. It leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question to think about. Is the biggest danger in our diet what we fail to eat or what we eat every single day?